and welcome to my channel. It's Kaz here from Crafty Kaz. I've got a little adaptation in this video to my horror hand which you might like, so stay tuned. So if you've seen the video on my horror hand, it's ready for Halloween, and if you click the video there you can find the video so you can make one yourself. But anyway, as I was finishing the video and ending it, I thought, crikey, I can add something to this. So what it is a witch's hat. Now I, on my 22 pin circular knitting machine, have knitted 80 rows in a black Aran, the same black Aran that we used for the eyeball. Okay, so 80 rows I've done for here, and we're going to stretch that out as we normally do, so we've got a very long tube. Now all we're going to do is to thread one end inside the other, but this time it's inside out so that the purl side is showing, and you'll understand why in a moment. So do that, make sure that your tails are together so that your work isn't twisted at all. And there's my one tail and my other tail. Okay, so you know how to do a beanie, I'm sure. So that's what we're doing, is just lining up our top edge like that. Okay, so once your top edge is aligned and meeting, grab some of those fabric clips or pins or whatever you use. I'm using these fabric clips. They're very, very handy and inexpensive, so if you do a lot of this kind of work or follow a lot of my videos, then they are very helpful. And all I'm going to do is to pin this in place all the way around so it's not going to move. That's the idea. Pins will work as well, but they're not quite so flexible and they can poke you in the fingers, of course. So all the way around, keeping your tails together, making sure that top edge is all together like that, all the way around, and that's a good job done there. So let's put these back in the box, and then make sure that your bottom edge is all the way down to the bottom like that, and let's stretch it out so that we got proper edges like that. Okay, so that's what we headed for, is a nice oblongy shaped tube there like that. Right, and what we're going to do next is we are going to find the center of our top there, which obviously these 22 pin machines for the most part will do a 3-inch wide tube, so about 1.5 inches inside there is going to be halfway. But find your halfway mark, and we are going to come down like that so far, okay, and we're going to run a line of stitches. Okay, so do that. Let's get a pin and mark our halfway mark and my ruler. Here we go. So we got a roughly 3, obviously because it's stretched out there because of the pins, 3.5. Let's do it to my stretch. This is about 4, so it's about 2. It's to that point there. So we want all the layers now attached together. So I'm going to pop that pin there now to hold all of the layers together from front to back. Okay, so my halfway mark is approximately to the left of that clip there. So grab your darning needle and put a long length of matching yarn on it, whether you're using black or a different colour. Just put a long length on your darning needle, and about 2 inches up on both sides we are going to stitch to that point there. So I'm going to pop a pin in there like that. Let's do it that way. About 2 inches up on both sides should be okay. Again, I've not trialed this one. I did a prototype for my hand, but not the eyeball. That again was off the cuff. So what we're going to do is to stitch from the middle down to that point there like that. And again, that side, we're going to stitch from that center point there all the way down like that. Okay. So starting at this point here, making sure that you're going through all the layers, I'm going to add a holding stitch like that. Hold on to that so it doesn't pull through. There's my holding stitch done and nice and tight. and I'm going to stitch from that edge all the way up. Now you can run a length of pins up to your center section if you want to, if that's going to help you guide your stitches. I'm going to just go for it and hope for the best. And what I'm doing with my stitches is I'm going to go in where the other stitch ended. So with black on black is a bit difficult, so keep an eye on where your needle came out, where my thumb is now, and where my last stitch ended I'm going to go in there and out where my thumb is, which is roughly where the stitch ended last time. Like that, same thing there, and work my way forward all the way up, and I will probably double back and do another row over the same row as well, just to make doubly sure that we've got a good seam there. So go ahead and do that now, this side and the other side, and I'll meet you back then for what we're going to do to finish this witch's hat, and just attach it to the top of our creepy eyeball on our hand. And of course you can just make the creepy eyeball and the hat if you want to. You don't have to do the hand. There we go. So we're coming up to the center piece now. That center halfway mark. Just to the left of my clip there. Just worked out really nicely. So I'll remove my clip now because I'm coming up to the top. And when I get to the top I'm going to just do an over stitch there. Like that, just to seal off the top. And don't worry about the edges here. These, it doesn't matter, they're all going to become part of the inside of the hat. You won't even know they're there. So I'm going to work my way back down. I'm not quite sure whether you can see the stitches that I've done there. Okay, so I'm going to try and bridge them, so go over in between each stitch there. So I've got a nice doubling up of my stitches. So I will see you back now when I finished both sides, and we'll move on to a few other little steps before we attach it to the eyeball. So I have finished stitching up both sides of my work, so I can remove my clips now because we don't need those. And I hope you can see the stitching there then, doubled up both sides. And I forgot to say, I'm actually going to be using the purl side. I like the texture, different to the knit side. And I'm going to be very brave now, okay? I've not tried this before, but because I don't want too much of this bulk going into the hat, I'm actually going to cut it off. So let's see how that works. I'm just going to chop that off there like that. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. And when I turn this out, if I find I've got a few stitches that aren't quite as neat as I'd like, I can always mattress stitch those on the outside to tidy those up. Let's move that out of the way, and let's hope that these stitches are going to be enough to hold this in place. Let's trim a few more of these tails off. We don't need all that extra bulk in there. So again, with that tail, chop that one off. Move all my mess over to the right hand side there, and let's turn this out and hope that it doesn't unravel. Because I want to get a point on the top, and with all that bulk we are not going to get a point. So I'm going to grab my crochet hook and get a little bit more of a point than I've actually got, and so far there is no untoward action going on. Let's push that out as much as we can. We're not going to get a super point obviously because of the 2 layers of fabric. There we go, that's a little bit more of a point, that's excellent. And let's stretch that out and see what we've got. And there we can see the 2 seams running down the side there. Yeah, they're holding pretty good. I'm happy with that. So there you go, I've cut my yarn, I've cut my knitted piece with no undue effect so far. And as it's not a piece that's going to be under strain like a wearable item or anything like that, I'm not too worried about that. I'm just going to use that as the hat. So this is what I'm going to do. Plump out the underside of your hat. like that. That's actually looking very witchified, and pop it on the top of your eyeball and aim to pull that out on the sides there like that. So have the seams going left and right, okay, and pull that out and pop it on the top of your eyeball and bring that brim out like that, okay. And that's, oop, it fell off, fantastic, excellent Kaz, excellent. I'm not attached it yet, so that's what we're going for, is that kind of look, but I'm going to be bending mine up a little bit like that to get more of a witch's hat look, and I think that looks great. And just to say, if you flatten it to the table like that, okay, you can definitely make a nice little brim of around about 2 centimeters wide all the way along the bottom there like that. Okay, so there's a little hole in the center, and I'm going to stuff mine with the offcuts that we cut off earlier. I'm going to pop them in the middle, because then the black isn't going to be contaminated rather with the white stuffing, just in case that shows through. So all my little offcuts I'm going to pop inside there like that, not wasting anything, and it's not going to show through any white or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to do, and then fold it down like that so we get that nice little gap for a brim. And I'm decided now I'm going to pop mine more on the top of my eye so that I can see the nice little highlight there. Okay, so mine's going to be sitting round about there with a bit of a bigger brim when I wiggle it, and I'm going to just sew that in place now. But by all means, you can hot glue yours on as well. So here's my hat ready to be sewn on, and I thought I'd show you how I'm going to attach mine. I folded my brim up about 2 centimeters, okay, because I laid it flat on the table, so I knew how far I wanted it to go. And here's my hand, and I want my hat to sit just on top of the iris there, okay, because when it's folded down I want to be able to see the highlight on the eye there. And I'm positioning mine with the seam on the left and the right of the eye. Okay, I'm going to start at the back so I can tie off there like that, and I'm going to just put a little stitch in there. And as usual, it's caught. There we go, that's fine, that'll do. Just put another little stitch in there. Fine. Trying to hold everything with one hand is not always easy. I'm going to put my tails up inside the hat there. Bring my hat down. This is proving a little bit tricky because the hand is wanting to do what hands want to do, and that's move around a lot. So let's reposition our hat. Maybe a few pins are going to help. So let's grab a few and pop them in there and hold this witchy hat in place. There, that does help a lot. So I highly recommend a few pins to hold your hat in place while you stitch the little monkey down. Alright, let's get them all wrapped around these fingers now. So I'm going to fold my brim up, tuck that in there, grab the underneath of my hat there, okay, and stitch all the way around in this kind of fashion. Going down and grabbing some stuffing, like I always say, definitely helps to have a really strong fastening that way. And do that now for yours all the way around your hat. And when I finished mine, I will come back and show you what it looks like when it's finished, bearing in mind that you can adjust your stuffing just before you close off. Again, something I always suggest you do, because it's your last chance without having to unpick. And unpicking, you know, it's doable, but it's a pain, isn't it? Let's be honest. So all the way around, checking your position as you go. It's another thing I always suggest. Don't just stitch willy-nilly. Make sure that you're happy with where your hat or your arm or whatever you're stitching into place is sitting before you go any further, and again it's going to save you a lot of hassle. So again, I'm pulling mine into place before I continue, and I'll finish this now off camera and I'll see you back in the blink of an eye. Okay, haha, blink of an eye. Oh, the puns just keep on coming, don't they? Sorry, honestly didn't think about that before I said it. Right, I will see you back in a minute. And here's my hat all sewn on and looking lovely and witchy-fied. I've taken the brim and I've stretched it a little bit to pull it out from the side, and when you push down there you get that lovely little gather there, which is really, really nice and adds a little bit of texture. Now, to add a little bit more texture, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a length of red Aran yarn here, and I'm going to wrap it around from the back to the front like that, back around, so you get that effect. Okay, don't have to, but that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to tie mine off with a knot at the back and just trim those short then, and that'll pull in that edge of that hat as well. That's what I'm going to do there, like that. Now you can leave those tails dangle, tie a bow, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to cut them to about 2 centimeters long and leave them like that. So that's what I've got at the back of mine. Okay, and from the front then you've got what looks like a little band going around, which ties in with the red of the fingers and the red of the optic nerves that are hanging from the back, like that. Alright, so that's it. That's the little additional extra, is a little witch's hat for your eyeball hand, your horror hand. And I hope you like this little additional extra for your eyeball. So if you do, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, that'd be fantastic, and it's free to do so. Join me in my Facebook group, Crafty Cars Collective, and I'll see you next time with another free project to enjoy. See you soon!